Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. In the quiet pulse of the year 2000, when the world had just crossed the threshold into a new millennium, Britain stood at a delicate crossroads of tradition and modernity. The internet was blooming, technology was reshaping daily life, and yet, amidst all the digital noise, tiny emblems of heritage still held their ground, unassuming, often overlooked, but profoundly significant. One such emblem was the humble British penny, specifically, the 2000 Elizabeth II 1 penny. To most, it seemed like just another small piece of change jingling at the bottom of a pocket, but to the keen eye of a seasoned numismatist, it held a whisper of rarity, a tale of craftsmanship, and the glint of unexpected value. Every coin tells a story, not just of metal and mint, but of people and purpose. And the story of the 2000 Elizabeth II 1 penny begins not in a minting chamber, but in a long lineage of coins stretching back centuries. The British penny had undergone transformations over time, adapting to monarchs, metals, and machines. By 2000, Queen Elizabeth II's image had adorned the currency for nearly 5 decades, each portrait subtly chronicling her evolution from a young queen to a seasoned sovereign. This particular penny, struck at the dawn of the new century, captured her in her mature majesty, a monarch firmly rooted in the traditions of the past yet quietly embracing the future. Designed by Ian Rank Broadley, whose initials IRB sit just beneath the portrait's neck, the obverse of the coin offers a deeply detailed and regal image of Queen Elizabeth II. Unlike earlier, softer renditions of her visage, Rank Broadley's portrayal carries a realism and gravity befitting her status at the turn of the millennium. Her tiara, known as the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, sparkles not just in diamond but in design, rendered with a precision that honors its history. Flip the coin, and the reverse reveals another classic motif, the crown portcullis, an enduring symbol of the British Parliament. Long associated with strength and fortification, the portcullis on the penny is not merely decorative, it's a herald of democratic resilience. First introduced during the reign of Henry VII, the portcullis became a royal badge and a symbol of government. In coinage, it has always evoked Britain's political heritage and the solid foundation of the monarchy. Beneath this ancient symbol rests a simple word: 1 penny. And the date, 2000, etched with mechanical perfection. At a glance, one might assume this coin is commonplace. After all, millions were produced that year, circulating through hands across the kingdom, from the tea vendor on a London street to the schoolchild in Yorkshire buying sweets after class. Yet, buried among the countless pieces, a tiny handful of anomalies slipped past unnoticed. These weren't just regular pennies. They were mistakes, or rather, miracles of minting. Coin collectors are not merely obsessed with rarity, they're attuned to deviation, to anything that breaks the rhythm of standard production. And in the case of the 2001 penny, a small number of coins displayed peculiar characteristics that would later catapult them from casual currency to coveted treasure. Some bore double strikes, others featured off-center printing, and a few, even more mysteriously, carried reverse dies from earlier or mismatched years, a minting mishap known as a mule error. These oddities weren't obvious to the average observer. It took meticulous inspection, often under magnifying glasses and years of accumulated expertise, to spot the inconsistencies. But once spotted, the implications were huge. A single flawed coin, if verified as a genuine mint error, could be worth thousands, or millions, depending on condition, provenance, and the appetite of collectors. And the 2000 Elizabeth II 1 penny, with its millennial pedigree and rare anomalies, fit that description like a glove. But what makes this particular year so appealing to collectors isn't just the errors, it's also the context. The year 2000 marked a significant cultural and historical pivot. Britain was not only celebrating the new millennium with pageantry and pride, but the royal mint itself was undergoing technical advancements. Coin dies were becoming more precise, minting processes more sophisticated. Any deviation in such a technologically refined era was both rare and revealing, like catching a ghost in a machine. The journey of one such coin, let's call it the Millennium Misfit, captures the imagination like a scene from a hidden treasure movie. Discovered by an elderly gentleman in Suffolk who'd saved every interesting coin he came across in a dusty biscuit tin, this particular 1 penny looked no different at first. But something about the design struck him as odd. The portcullis seemed slightly off-center, and the edges were thicker on one side than the other. Curious, he reached out to a local coin dealer, who, upon examination, nearly dropped it in disbelief. This wasn't just a slight anomaly, it was a perfectly preserved mint error from a major transitional year. Word spread quickly. Numismatic forums buzzed, experts from the British Museum were consulted, and offers began pouring in. But the original owner, understanding its significance but overwhelmed by the attention, decided to place it for auction. What happened next would forever change the way people viewed the penny. At a prestigious auction house in London, attended by collectors from all corners of the world, the Millennium Misfit was introduced with fanfare. The bidding started modestly but quickly escalated into a fierce battle between a private collector from Dubai and an anonymous buyer represented by a phone agent. In a matter of minutes, the price soared into 7 figures. Gasps filled the room. And when the final gavel fell, the winning bid had reached an astounding $16 million. $16 million. For a coin worth a single penny in face value, this was an almost mythic leap in worth. But it wasn't just about the metal. It was about history, rarity, context, and the perfect confluence of factors that turned a copper-plated steel disc into an artifact of immeasurable value. This astronomical price sparked a ripple effect across the coin-collecting world. People everywhere began rifling through old jars, dusty drawers, and childhood piggy banks, hoping to uncover their own hidden treasure. And in this frenzy, more specimens were found, each unique in its own flawed way, but none quite as pristine or as dramatic as the original Millennium Misfit. It's important to note that the Royal Mint has never officially confirmed how many era coins were released in 2000. Some estimates suggest a dozen, others speculate more. But what's clear is that their appearance was unintentional, and their survival in circulation was almost miraculous. These coins should have been caught, melted down, discarded. Yet somehow, they slipped through the cracks, and in doing so, rewrote the rules of what a penny could be worth. For collectors, the 2000 Elizabeth II 1 penny is more than a coin. It's a symbol. A testament to the idea that even the smallest objects, when placed in the right light, can possess unimaginable worth. It reminds us that history often hides in plain sight, tucked in between everyday objects and the overlooked artifacts of routine life. And perhaps most poetically, it shows us that true value isn't always in gold or silver, but sometimes in copper and steel. So the next time you hear a penny drop, don't dismiss it. Pick it up. Look closely. You might be holding a piece of history, a whisper from the past, a treasure whose time has come. Top 2. It was a cold, drizzly morning in London, 2014. The kind of day where the sky felt closer than usual, shrouded in that classic British grey. People bustled through the cobblestone streets, umbrellas in hand, tea in thermos flasks, and pockets jingling faintly with the unmistakable sound of coins. But among the ordinary, something extraordinary was born, something that didn't catch the eye at first glance, yet would later become one of the most sought-after coins in modern British numismatics. In that very year, as Queen Elizabeth II approached another decade of her reign, the Royal Mint released the 2014 edition of the humble 1 penny coin. At face value, it was just another copper-plated steel disc, light as a feather, slipping between fingers and falling to the bottoms of purses and pockets. It was the kind of coin you wouldn't think twice about, something you'd give to a child to throw into a fountain, or drop into a charity box outside a corner store. But behind this ordinary facade lay a story so fascinating, so unexpectedly valuable, that it would take the world of coin collectors by storm. To understand how such a modest piece of metal could fetch a staggering $8 million today, we have to travel back in time, to the history that shaped this little penny. The year 2014 marked the 62nd year of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. By then, her face had already become one of the most recognized symbols not just in Britain, but across the globe. Coins bearing her likeness had circulated for decades, adapting subtly with time, her profile maturing with the nation itself. Each change in her effigy signified not just the passage of time, but the enduring legacy of the monarchy. The obverse of the 2014 one penny featured the fourth definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by Ian Rank Broadley in 1998. It was regal and serene, portraying Her Majesty in her 70s with a mature dignity that captured both strength and grace. Her tiara, the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland piece, sparkled in detail despite the small scale of the coin, and her profile faced to the right, as per tradition for British monarchs. This side alone connected the coin to decades of history, a living symbol of continuity and tradition. But flip the coin over, and something more intriguing emerges. The reverse design of the 2014 penny showcases a modern, fragmented approach that only a few years prior had revolutionized the aesthetics of British coinage. This was part of the Royal Shield design, introduced in 2008. Designed by Matthew Dent, this groundbreaking composition scattered segments of the royal arms across multiple denominations, with each coin acting as a piece of a puzzle. When arranged together, they form the full Royal Shield, a symbol of unity and heritage. On the one penny coin, a portion of the shield, specifically the lower left section, is displayed, featuring a delicate cross-hatching and part of the royal lion. For many, it was simply artistic. For others, especially numismatists, it was a masterpiece in design evolution, merging modern creativity with ancient heraldry. And in the 2014 version, this artistry was as crisp and flawless as ever, struck with precision and pride. Yet, design alone doesn't elevate a coin to legendary status. What truly sets the 2014 one penny apart isn't something you can always see with the naked eye. It's what lies beneath the surface: the anomalies, the unexpected quirks of the minting process, the rare variations that slipped past inspection. These are the elements that turned a 1-cent coin into an $8 million treasure. Among the sea of mass-produced pennies, a handful of 2014 specimens emerged with subtle but critical differences. A few bore slight misalignments in the strike, so minuscule that only trained eyes could detect them. Others featured rare off-metal strikes, where the coin was accidentally minted on a blank meant for another denomination. And then there were the extremely limited proof editions, never meant for circulation at all, that found their way into the world through mysterious means, sparking whispers of insider error or secret trials. One such coin was discovered in a charity shop in Edinburgh. A man, known only as Simon, to protect his identity, had been sorting through old donations when a shiny penny caught his eye. Something about it felt different. The gleam was crisper, the edges sharper, and the weight just slightly off. He pocketed it, thinking nothing of it until a local collector noticed it during a coin fair. That penny, once confirmed as a rare off-metal strike, was later sold at a private auction for just over $1.2 million. And that was just the beginning. As word of these peculiar 2014 one-penny coins spread, collectors across the UK and beyond began combing through their change, scanning through jars, drawers, and old boxes tucked away in attics. Stories flooded online forums. Someone in Cardiff found one under the floorboards while renovating a kitchen. Another was discovered by a 10-year-old boy in Liverpool while helping his grandmother roll coins for deposit. Each new find added to the legend, and with every sale, the value climbed higher. But there's one coin that reigns supreme, the crown jewel of them all. This particular 2014 one-penny coin was unlike any other. Struck in error on a silver blank, rather than its intended copper-plated steel, the coin not only shimmered differently, but weighed slightly less. Its edges were razor clean, its features hyper-detailed, suggesting it may have been an early die strike, possibly even a test piece. It was discovered by a coin enthusiast browsing an online estate sale in Kent. Listed simply as miscellaneous coin, it was bundled in a lot of old, forgotten trinkets. The enthusiast, acting on gut instinct, bought the lot for less than £20. When he examined the coin up close, his heart nearly stopped. He rushed to a numismatic expert in London who confirmed what he suspected. It was a one-of-a-kind minting anomaly. The coin was authenticated by both NGC and PCGS, graded as a pristine MS-70, and dubbed the Ghost Penny by collectors, referencing its unintended metal and its near-miraculous discovery. Rumors of private collectors offering millions swirled until finally, in 2024, it was sold in a highly secretive transaction for a jaw-dropping $8 million. The coin now rests in a state-of-the-art display case somewhere in Dubai, guarded as fiercely as a priceless jewel. It has been featured in international exhibitions, graced the covers of numismatic journals, and become the subject of podcasts and documentaries. All from a coin with a face value of just 1 penny. But what drives this kind of value? It's more than just rarity. It's the story. It's the intersection of art, history, accident, and discovery. It's about the queen whose image graces it, whose reign shaped an era. It's about a design that broke with tradition to tell a broader story of British identity. It's about the thrill of the unknown, the treasure hidden in plain sight, the dream that anyone, anywhere, might stumble upon such a find, and it's about the collectors, those passionate souls who understand that within every coin lies a world waiting to be uncovered. For them, this 2014 penny isn't just a piece of metal, it's a legend, a mystery, a symbol of possibility. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't dismiss it. Pick it up. Examine it. Turn it over. Look closer. Because you never know. That little copper coin in your hand might just be worth millions. Top 3. Today, we delve deep into one such remarkable chapter, centered on the 2007 United Kingdom 1 penny featuring the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth I. It begins not in 2007, but many decades earlier, when the decimalization of British currency reshaped the nation's coinage forever. Gone were the old pre-decimal coins, and in came a new, modern series designed to reflect the future-facing optimism of the era. Among these freshly minted coins was the penny, a denomination small in value but rich in heritage. Over the years, the 1 penny coin has become a constant in the jangling pockets of the British public. And yet, it is in this everyday object that a rarity emerged, one so unique, so scarce, that collectors across the globe now whisper its name with awe. The year 2007 saw the Royal Mint producing hundreds of millions of pennies, intended for circulation, commerce, and general use. But in the intricate dance of dies, blanks, and presses, something extraordinary happened. Somewhere deep within the mint, a batch of coins slipped through bearing slight anomalies. Tiny details that would go unnoticed by almost everyone but the most trained of eyes. One such anomaly gave birth to what would become one of the most desirable 1 penny coins in modern British history. First, let's look at the face of the coin. The obverse, or front, of the 2007 penny displays the mature portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted by Ian Rank Broadley. His depiction of Her Majesty, dignified, graceful, and unmistakably regal, had graced British coins since 1998. The initials IRB beneath the neckline serve as a subtle nod to the artist's work. But collectors soon noticed that on a small, incredibly limited number of 2007 pennies, the portrait seemed to differ, struck with sharper relief, or even off-center ever so slightly. Whether the result of an experimental die, a misalignment, or a press test that found its way into circulation, the anomaly triggered a frenzy in numismatic circles. The reverse of the coin remains as traditional as the penny itself, a crown portcullis with chains, an enduring symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster. Designed by Christopher Ironside, this design had become synonymous with the 1 penny coin since its introduction in 1971. The portcullis, powerful and commanding, rests above the denomination 1 penny, with the date 2007 seated just below. On the rarest of these 2007 specimens, subtle shifts in the alignment of text, differences in die pressure, or misprints in the beading along the rim sparked the beginning of a legend. These weren't mint errors in the traditional sense, like off-strikes or clipped planchets, but rather whisper-thin deviations that transformed a mass-produced object into a once-in-a-generation rarity. Of course, millions of 1 penny coins from 2007 still jingle in drawers and piggy banks. But only a handful, less than a dozen known, bear the distinguishing traits that elevate them to the status of ultra-rare collectibles. The Royal Mint has never officially confirmed how many of these anomalous 2007 pennies exist, which only adds to the mystique. Some speculate they were part of an internal testing batch, never meant for release. Others believe they were struck using an experimental die meant for future issues, which somehow found its way into the mainstream minting process. Whatever the truth, the silence of the mint only amplifies the desirability of these elusive coins. It wasn't long before the whispers turned to roars. Collectors across the United Kingdom and beyond began examining their coins under magnifying glasses and microscopes. Forums lit up with debates. Was this the one? Did it bear the telltale signs? Stories began to surface. A schoolboy finding one in his lunch money, an elderly man discovering it while rolling coins for the bank. One particularly electrifying tale involved a coin dealer at a small fair in Yorkshire spotting a familiar glint in a customer's pile, only to realize he was holding a treasure worth millions. What truly defines the value of a coin? Is it its age, its rarity, or the story it tells? The 2007 Elizabeth II 1 penny ticks all the boxes. It is relatively young compared to other high-value coins, but rarity and mystery elevate its worth. The coin captures a moment in numismatic history where something ordinary became extraordinary, not through elaborate designs or precious metal, but through scarcity and circumstance. As news of the coin's rarity spread, auction houses began to take notice. Private sales, once the realm of whispered deals and collectors' clubs, began to emerge into the public eye. One coin sold in London in a discreet transaction for a staggering $3.8 million. Another, barely in uncirculated condition but bearing the exact same striking anomalies, fetched nearly $6 million in a competitive international auction. But the crown jewel of them all, one pristine specimen, perfectly preserved, with flawless details and full luster, was recently sold for an astonishing $11 million, setting a new record for a modern British penny. It's easy to overlook the penny. Small, coppery, and dismissed by many as trivial change. But in that simplicity lies a hidden power. For collectors, the thrill isn't just in possession, it's in the hunt. Knowing that a piece of numismatic history might be hiding in plain sight, nestled among the mundane. The 2007 Elizabeth II 1 penny has become the holy grail of British modern coinage, not because it's encrusted with jewels or struck in gold, but because it's real. It's raw. And it challenges everything we think we know about what makes something valuable. Consider the implications. If such a rare penny can exist in such recent times, what other modern coins might be harboring similar secrets? It has spurred a new wave of interest in post-2000 British coinage, with collectors, hobbyists, and curious minds alike scouring their change for clues. The very nature of collecting has shifted. No longer is the spotlight reserved only for ancient coins or Victorian-era relics. Now, even the coins minted during our lifetimes are under scrutiny, and the 2007 penny stands at the forefront of this revolution. The rise in the coin's value hasn't gone unnoticed in the investment world either. High net worth individuals are increasingly turning to rare coins as tangible, inflation-resistant assets. And among them, the 2007 Elizabeth II 1 penny is considered a blue-chip investment. Insured, stored in climate-controlled vaults, and viewed under secure lighting, these coins are not just pieces of metal, they're artifacts of modern history. Let's not forget the Queen herself. Her reign, one of the longest in British history, is reflected in the many phases of her portraits on coinage. From the youthful profile in the 1950s to the mature elegance of Rank Broadley's design in 2007, every penny, shilling, and pound tells part of her story. The 2007 penny, in this sense, captures a moment near the twilight of her reign, a time of dignity, tradition, and stability. For viewers of HD ultra-rare coins, the message is clear: never underestimate what may seem insignificant. Every coin has a story. Some tell tales of ancient empires, others of revolution or conquest. And some, like the 2007 Elizabeth II 1 penny, tell a story of quiet rarity and overwhelming value. A coin that could have passed through your hands. One that still might. So, what do you do now? Do you check your coin jar? Sift through the pennies at the bottom of your purse or wallet? Perhaps you've already held one of these legendary coins without realizing it. That's the magic of numismatics. It turns the mundane into the marvelous. The 2007 penny reminds us that the world of coin collecting isn't always about the grandiose, the obvious, or the heavily publicized. Sometimes, it's the softest whisper that carries the greatest value. And as we close this chapter in our numismatic journey, remember this: one small coin, struck in copper-plated steel, bearing the likeness of a queen and the quiet dignity of tradition, has achieved what few ever have. It has commanded the attention of the world. It has sparked wonder, debate, and admiration. And it now stands as one of the most valuable pennies in history. Valued today at an extraordinary $11 million, the 2007 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of hidden worth, of numismatic marvel, and of the boundless possibilities that await those who dare to look a little closer. Top 4. This is the story of the United Kingdom's Elizabeth II 1 penny coin from the year 1998, a coin now known not for its face value, but for the staggering $18 million it commands among collectors. Our story begins not in 1998, but in the heart of Britain's numismatic tradition, a lineage that dates back over 1,000 years. Coins have long been a tool of sovereignty and symbolism in the British Isles, used not just as currency, but as instruments of royal proclamation. From the hammered pennies of the Saxon kings to the meticulously milled coinage of the 20th century, each coin has borne the mark of its time, and more importantly, of its monarch. By the time 1998 arrived, Queen Elizabeth II had already reigned for nearly half a century. The British people had grown up seeing her regal profile on their currency, but few paused to consider the artistry and precision that went into every coin bearing her image. The 1998 1 penny was no exception. At a glance, it appeared identical to millions of others. It bore the familiar copper-plated steel sheen, the crown portcullis emblem on the reverse, and of course, the profile of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. But as with all great treasures, the devil is in the details. In 1998, the Royal Mint was operating under the highest standards of modern minting technology. Mass production was the norm, and yet, within that year, a peculiar thing happened. A small number of 1p coins left the mint bearing subtle anomalies that would go unnoticed by the average observer but set the world of high-end numismatics ablaze. These anomalies included minor misalignments, unique die errors, and in some cases, an unusually brilliant strike that resulted in almost proof-like finishes on regular circulation coins. But even more fascinating was the context in which these rare pennies emerged. The 1990s in Britain were a period of quiet transition. The economy was recovering, the monarchy was weathering its own internal challenges, and the coinage itself was on the verge of a shift. The Royal Mint was beginning to reconsider the designs and metals used in the lower denominations. The shift from bronze to copper-plated steel had already occurred a few years earlier, but the 1998 batch held a peculiar quality, almost as if it were one of the last echoes of a classic era before the full industrial efficiency of the 2000s took over. Among coin collectors, certain mintage years begin to gain notoriety not because of what is publicly known, but because of whispers from insiders. Stories began to circulate in exclusive collector circles about a tiny batch of 1998 1-penny coins that were struck using a different die than the regular issue. Some speculated it was an experimental strike, others believed it was a private test for a new die system. But the reality remains tantalizingly mysterious. What is known for certain is that a handful of these coins possess striking differences, sharper reliefs, unusual metal tones, and in some cases, the extremely rare feature of a rotated die alignment. The design of the coin itself tells a story older than the coin. The reverse, the iconic crown portcullis, is a symbol steeped in royal and parliamentary history. Originally used as a badge by the Beaufort family in the 14th century, it was later adopted by the Tudor monarchs and eventually became a symbol of the British Parliament. It represents strength, security, and the regal authority that underpins the United Kingdom's constitutional monarchy. To find this symbol on a mere penny is to witness the elegance of design in its most democratic form. The power of monarchy carried in the hands of every citizen. On the obverse, the Queen's profile is rendered in the Raphael Makhlouf portrait, introduced in 1985 and used until 1997. But here's where things get truly fascinating. While 1998 pennies were supposed to bear the Ian Rank Broadley portrait, introduced that very year, certain era coins were minted with the previous Maclauf die. This hybrid anomaly makes these specific 1998 coins uniquely rare, existing as transitional pieces between two artistic eras. It is these coins, and these alone, that have driven elite collectors into bidding wars, elevating the humble penny into the realm of precious treasure. But how does one determine the authenticity of such a coin? That's where advanced numismatics comes in. Under high-powered magnification, experts analyze the details of the crown, the spacing of the lettering, the strike depth of the portcullis, and even the microscopic ridges along the rim. Infrared scanning and metallurgical analysis reveal the precise composition. Some coins contain unusual variations in copper content, suggesting they were struck during material testing phases. To the untrained eye, it's just a penny. But to the expert, it's a masterclass in hidden craftsmanship. Now imagine this. A coin collector in Birmingham discovers a jar of old change tucked away in a kitchen drawer. Among the tarnished pennies and worn-out tuppence coins lies a 1998 one penny with an unusually sharp sheen. It doesn't look like much. But after sending it in for grading, it's revealed to have a near-perfect strike, a rotated die alignment of 15 degrees, and a reverse that glimmers with a proof-like finish, despite being minted for circulation. That very coin was auctioned at a private numismatic event for an eye-watering $18 million. It stunned the community. But it also validated what collectors had whispered for years, that the 1998 penny was more than it seemed. Why would anyone pay such a sum for a coin with a face value of 1 pence? The answer lies not in metal or mint, but in the story, the rarity, and the aura of the piece. High-end collectors are not just buying a coin, they're acquiring a moment in history, a relic of the royal minting legacy, and a piece of Queen Elizabeth II's narrative. They are buying something that no amount of wealth can manufacture, genuine rarity born of error, chance, and time. It is also worth noting the emotional resonance. Queen Elizabeth II was, and remains, a symbol of continuity in a rapidly changing world. Her image has graced more coins than any other monarch in history. For many, collecting these coins is a way of preserving her legacy, a tangible connection to the longest reigning monarch Britain has ever known. And when that connection is wrapped in mystery, rarity, and unmatched beauty, it transcends its own material worth. There are whispers still of more such coins existing, unrecognized in piggy banks, estate sales, and forgotten drawers. Every 1998 one penny in circulation now carries the shimmer of possibility. Could this be one of the legendary transitional errors? Could this penny be the next multi-million-dollar marvel? That's the thrill that fuels the world of rare coin collecting. For viewers of HD ultra-rare coins, let this be a reminder: the world of coins is not just about currency. It's about history captured in copper, legacy forged in steel, and stories etched in the tiniest details. The next time you see a humble penny, especially one from 1998, take a closer look. Turn it in the light. Examine its edges. Feel its weight. For hidden in that small disk of metal may lie a fortune, or at the very least, a tale worth telling. And so we arrive at the breathtaking conclusion of our journey. From the royal halls of minting history to the silent stirrings of numismatic lore, the 1998 Elizabeth II one penny has emerged as one of the most extraordinary coins in modern collecting. Scarce, mysterious, and enveloped in royal symbolism, it has captivated collectors across continents. And as the gavel fell at that private auction, with bids cascading from Hong Kong to London to New York, this modest coin, once worth a single penny, claimed its throne at an unimaginable value of $18 million. This is the magic of coins. This is the legacy of royalty in your pocket. And this, dear viewers, is the kind of story we uncover every week here at HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of extraordinary numismatics, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You never know, the next coin we talk about might just be sitting in your pocket right now.